Welcome to Your Money and Your Life. My name is Larisa. I'm the founder of Pink Passport Society. Pink Passport Society is a network of and for women who are interested in prosperity and wealth through creation of business and collaboration. So I am excited to be talking to you about your money and your life. And what that means is essentially I want to help you create your own passport living lifestyle. Passport living is essentially creating a lifestyle where you have choices in what you do with your time, how you spend your money, how you spend your life. And it's a lifestyle that you create with focused effort on managing and growing your money. So your money and your life is one way that I am helping you make sense of the financial headlines and seeing how those headlines and the changes in the economy apply to you and your life, and making it more real rather than just you get the little snippet, and sometimes it's in my mind, they're just using scare tactics, but in many ways, some of it is like, okay, that's great, but how does this apply to me? So hopefully through your money and your life, the financial headlines will start to make more sense, and you will grow your confidence around managing your money as well as investing and growing your money. This episode is brought to you by Pink Passport Society, and what we do is we work with women multipreneurs who, just kind of like what the word sounds like, have multiple or diversified income streams. So there are many ways to work and earn a living, but to me it just makes more sense to have more than one source of revenue. We all got kind of caught up maybe by surprise, most of us, by the changes that took place a few years ago, and we're still digging our way out. Some of us are on top, some of us are growing, and some of us are looking at, hopefully no one's still scratching their chin and saying, oh my gosh, what happened? So anyway, it's just a good idea to diversify your income. Have more than one income source so you're not caught by surprise, so that you have choice, of course, in how you spend your money, and you're not just married to a paycheck, stuck in a job that you hate just because you're afraid of taking a step or making a change. So what we talked about last episode was your bio. Just to help, again, like I said, to put this into context. What is it that you are working toward? What are you working for? Who are you and what are you about? So if you can answer those questions, maybe write down your personal mission statement. If you have a sense of, who you are and who you want to be remembered for and who you want to be seen as, where you're going, what your goals are, then that helps you make sense of the videos as they come out and the information that we're sharing with you. So I just thought it was a good idea for people to put together their 6-word bio, and I say 6 words just because it's really, you really have to drill down to be really sure and be really concise, and the more clear and concise you are, then obviously that helps you when you're forming a plan and moving forward. So, and we also talked about your definition of success. So I can tell you success means having, I don't know what, 6-figure income, having X amount of dollars in the bank. You have that house on the hill and that shiny new car. Maybe you have a country club membership. But that's just, that's what you read in the magazines, that's what you see on TV. Everyone's got their own definition of success, and then sometimes as you get older, success means, for some people, that means, downsizing. That means getting rid of the clutter, getting rid of all the excess, getting rid of some of the electronics, and just really simplifying life. And it's more about enjoying life with less stress and less pressure to perform. So again, if you put together your bio, what your goals are, what your goals will, in my mind, be driven by what your definition of success is. So make sure if you were here last week, bring that with you, or grab that piece of paper so that you'll make notes and put them in the right areas, so that again this all makes sense for you. So your bio, your legacy, essentially what it is you want to be known or remembered for, your definition of success, where are you going, what does it look like when you get there, that's really the true picture. What is it going to look like, how will you know you will have arrived? And then we talked about the definition of a multipreneur, which in oversimplified terms, that means having more than one revenue source and in particular more than one business. What passive income is. Passive income is income that you earn, say, from investments or something, so you're getting an income from it, but it doesn't require you to be there plugging away 8 hours a day. That money is still going to come in whether you sleep in that day or whether you're on vacation. So that's your passive income, whereas direct income is money that you are personally involved in, usually. That's an income source. One of the things that I expect we'll talk about at some point in the future is, building a business to the point where you're the CEO, you are the person, but does that necessarily mean that you are is your physical presence required, or you have the staff or the team that again can manage and run that business without your direct presence? So that's, in my mind, one of the key features of success. Doesn't have a dollar amount attached to it. That's your own number. But again, that's what part of the picture looks like. Work that you enjoy, ideally. Work that you get paid a good, nice chunk of money for, ideally. But maybe it doesn't necessarily require that you're there. So there are many different ways, and I talked about a couple last week, and time permitting, we'll talk about a few more ways this week. But, again, there's so many ways to earn money, and they don't all require that you have your nose to the grindstone. It's just careful planning, some time management, and certainly taking advantage of the internet, our friend, the computer, with all its little challenges. And just making all those tools work for you so that, again, your life looks like the way you dreamed it. And I know that one of the other things that we certainly need to talk about, debt reduction. I recently read a recent headline, can't remember the paper actually, but it just said that Americans are reducing their debt, getting a handle on debt otherwise. So that's the good news. What it probably went on to say is that one of the reasons that we're paying down our debt, or otherwise we can't get any loans, so we can't get into any more trouble. So that's it's good and bad depending on what you want to do. But so we want to talk about debt reduction, some ways to reduce your debt, and then of course what that really means in the bigger picture. So let's just take a second and talk about that before we go on to the next headline or the next area. So like I said, some people probably got caught by surprise by the massive changes that have occurred over the last few years with the economy and the banks and the meltdowns and the mergers and the drastic headlines about all the doom and gloom that's happening. And it's been difficult, especially a lot of it was driven by the real estate market. If you were a homeowner, if you were a real estate investor, depending on how you had your portfolio set up, maybe it was good for you, maybe it was bad for you. But so at this time, depending on how you were affected by the last few years, and then of course what your situation is right now, a lot of people say, well, I can't think about even doing anything differently until I get control of my debt, and how on earth am I going to take care of my debt? So let's just talk about a couple of ways. So, and of course that involves the magic pen and paper. I am expecting that you will have some sense of what your income is, and whether that's a paycheck, whether that's, I don't know, whether you are the sole source of income, whether it's joint household income. You do need to know where your income is coming from, and of course how much it is and the frequency. So that's the first thing, and then of course, but the bigger picture is the outflow. Now, one of the things that I wish I could give you a multiple choice question, so I'll just have to give you the answer because I can't think of the questions. But it may surprise you to know that one of the biggest things that are keeping people from creating wealth, wait for it, is procrastination. So, and procrastination, that means delaying taking action. And my biggest thing is just, it doesn't have to be perfect, but you do need to do something. So no one likes to hear the word budget. No one likes to, think about sticking to, a certain amount of money, but a certain amount of expenditure. But that's really the first thing that you have to do. What is your outflow versus your income? So if you have looked at those two categories and you find that you have whether it's $25, $250, or an extra $1,000 a month, hats off to you. This is the money that you would use to reduce your debt. And the way I'm suggesting that you do it is something, we can give it a clever name. There's two schools of thought. One says that you pay down the debt that has the highest interest because, of course, that will save you the most amount of money. If you pay off the high interest debt first, you know, you're saving money because you're not throwing all of your dollars towards high interest. Whereas on the other school of thought, and this is the one that I adhere to, is pay off your smallest amounts first, because that way you will see some immediate improvement and that will encourage you to carry on. So looking at paying off your smallest debts first thing to do is to list your debts. Who is everyone that you owe? Just make a list of your credit cards, your school loans, your car payments, or whatever it is you're paying for, and you will list them in ascending order. So the smallest number will be first, and that's the one you're going to pay off first. So like I said, if you looked at your income, your outflow, how much money do you have to put towards that debt, you take your smallest debt, whatever the minimum payment is. Let's just talk about a credit card. Your minimum payment is $35 a month. So if you think about it, if you have a $5,000 limit and you're only paying $35 a month, which, okay, that's probably not happening, but let's just use those for instance. $35 a month at 12 or 20% interest, depending on, you know, how good your credit is. That's going to affect your interest rate. You know, that's going to take you a ridiculous amount of years to pay off. So what you do is you take your $35, which is your minimum, and if you can help it, never pay the minimum, but for this scenario you will. So you take your $35 monthly payment that's required, and whatever found money that you have, like I said, that 25 or that 250, you're going to add it to that minimum payment. So let's just go with $250. You found $250 that you have this disposable income. So that $250 plus your $35 is $285 that you're going to pay off towards that first credit card. So that means that now you're paying $285 a month, which is going to chip that away a whole lot quicker than $35 a month. And let's just say, for a nice round number, out of that $5,000 credit limit, you have $2,850 that you owe. So if you're paying $285 a month, theoretically that's 10 months that you would be free of that particular debt. So you're paying that off, $285 a month. Everyone else gets the minimum payment because you're concentrating all your energy on the smallest bill. So you pay off that $2,850, 10 months and some change, because you're still having interest, but you're just paying it off faster. Maybe we'll say 11 months worth of round number. So once that is paid off, you're finished. Put it in the freezer, cut it up, whatever you do. Don't close the account. That's another conversation, because that will mess up your credit rating. Don't close the account, just don't use it. So pay it off. It's good. It's in the freezer. It's for emergencies. You're not going to use that credit card again for now. And that $285 that you were paying is now going to go to the second lowest bill. So maybe that was a dental bill that you got, braces for the kids. You know, those are not cheap anymore. So you're taking that $285 plus your $55 that you were paying towards the dentist. Oh, what is that going to be? Got your 10, got your 13, that's 14. So now that's $340 that you're paying toward $4,000 dental bill. So it will be much more useful with a visual aid, and we'll work on that. But for today, just get the concept in mind. Pay off the smallest bill first, using all of your disposable debt reduction income, and you're going to pay that off, and then you will add that minimum plus the debt reduction and put that on your second and third and fourth, and you just pay them off in that order. And you know, depending on what your scenario is, if you have a lot of debt, it's going to take a couple of years, but at least you will see regular progress if you start with the smallest amount first and just pay it off and get the next smallest until you're ready to conquer your mortgage. And you know, if you pay even just $1,000 a month, $1,000 a year on your mortgage, that's going to, even because of the ridiculous amount of interest that they can charge, that'll still pay your mortgage off within less than the 30-year mortgage term that you signed up for originally. So anyhow, what I can do is give you a written handout if you want to just drop me an email, guidedjourney@pinkpassport.org. So it'd be a whole lot clearer if you had a visual to go with it. But anyhow, that is just the, I'm going to use a name, snowman uh, version of paying off your debts, because you're starting small, and as you know, with that chosen amount of debt reduction money. And you know, if you're starting with a snowman, you have this snowball, and then you roll it in the snow, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and that's why it's called the snowman, because you're starting small and it just gets bigger and bigger as you pay off the bigger amounts of debt. So anyway, like I said, it's hard to think about investing and planning for the future when you're just overwhelmed by debt, and that's why I wanted to start with that at the beginning of this episode of Your Money and Your Life. So, what else did I see? I saw another headline that says that the 30-year mortgage rate is up to 3.62%. Now, when you hear up to 3.62, well, that's still below 4%, which, you know, gosh goodness, that's still a really good interest rate. But when I see that the mortgage rate is going up, that's just a concern for me, because I have an investment property in Las Vegas, and it's an adjustable rate mortgage, so I know I'm going to get that letter soon that chances are my mortgage payment's going to go up, which is not exciting, but again, I've been pre-warned. But the other reason I wanted to talk about that particular headline is, number one, if you have an adjustable rate mortgage, depending on where you are, you know, it's a lot more difficult to get money. Banks are not throwing money at people anymore, but if it's possible to refinance and lock in so that you don't have that adjustable rate mortgage, because we all know that's what got a lot of people into trouble in the first place. But then secondarily, as the mortgage rates go up, you know, mortgage rates, not that particular rate that is the driver per se of the economy, although it does impact certainly the real estate market. The fact that the mortgage rate is going up just means that the baseline interest rate is going up. And I say baseline interest rates because when lenders say give an adjustable rate mortgage, it's tied to an index or a baseline interest. So this is just the background money that is the scale or the range that impacts all the other interest rates. So that's why when the mortgage rates go up, that's typically a leading indicator that the other rates are going up. So that's why it's just like, well, it's good news and bad news. So as the mortgage rates go up, then, you know, the economy gets better, and then of course the rates that you can earn typically go up. It just also means that when you borrow money, that the cost of money goes up, the cost of borrowing goes up. But on the other hand, your investments typically earn better. So, you know, kind of good, bad scale. And then the other side of that, the reason I wanted to mention that is, you know, if you've been sitting on the fence about buying, I always encourage people to have real estate as part of their investment portfolio. Stocks, real estate, and then the other gazillion things that you can invest in, but these are two of the key wealth builders. And then it doesn't matter what the headlines are saying, and I suggest you ignore the headlines, honestly, because it's just going to scare you and confuse you and just weigh you down with questions and the what ifs, and you get stuck in that mode of what if, and well, I can't, or maybe I should wait and this, that, and other, and then the next thing you know, you haven't taken any action. So you still need to get involved with real estate and, you know, buy your primary residence if that's something that you're interested in. You know, a home of your own, that's a key wealth builder historically, and of course there's many ways to make that work. But on the other hand, it's also very important that you consider ways that you can use real estate to grow your wealth. And then by that, I mean investment real estate. So if you can get a multi-family property, a duplex, a fourplex, or, you know, commercial property, something that has positive cash flow. And I say positive cash flow because that's clearly, again, one of the things that got people into trouble before is that when real estate was just growing hand over fist, just like everybody was a millionaire in a year, because you could buy a property or a few properties, and the appreciation was so great that you were a paper millionaire, really. But at the same time, you know, the people who are still wealthy are those who had property that was cash flowing, and cash flowing means that after you've paid your mortgage, interest, and taxes, and whatever maintenance bills there may be, if that's, you know, how you had the rental set up, that you still had money coming in. The payment that you were receiving as rent exceeded your expenses. So whenever you buy an investment property, you just need to pencil it out and then also give yourself a cushion to make sure that it continues to cash flow and you don't get stuck. So you're not building your wealth necessarily by appreciation, which if you bought in the right place, you can still get appreciation on your real estate. And that's a good thing to have, but it's also important to protect your wealth by making sure that you have cash flow. Cash is king. That has never changed, no matter how bad the economy got, or more importantly, even as the economy got bad, cash is still king. So, again, looking at the interest rates, if you're sitting on the fence, you're going to end up paying more, or going to need to bring more money to the table out of your own pocket when you buy, if you continue to wait. So, Larisa's recommendation, buy now if you can, and lock in that 30-year mortgage or 15-year mortgage, depending how much you put down and how much you're borrowing, because the interest rates are going up, which means people are starting to buy and there's more demand, which is a positive, but at the same time prices are still pretty darn reasonable. And so you want to maybe take advantage of one of the programs. If you qualify for a VA loan, get a VA loan. Prices are low enough to where, and I'm speaking of California right now, prices are low enough to where you can actually use your VA certificate to buy a home, or an FHA loan, some of the other programs that, non-conventional loans, there we go. But the important thing is to get in now while the prices are low, instead of waiting. If you keep waiting to see what happens, then, the only way to go is up. So it's just a good time. So that's one thing to look at when you're seeing that the interest rates are going up. It affects what you can do with your real estate, but it's also going to affect typically, in many ways, it's going to affect the money that you pay to borrow any kind of money, and it's also going to impact your return when you are investing in the different investment vehicles. Here, Royalty, and I see that we have a few more minutes left, so I wanted to talk to you about, I would love to have some questions to answer at this time, but in the meantime, I even in these short 2 videos, I've probably thrown a lot of information at you, and so before we get too bogged down and get too concerned with what to do next, my suggestion is that you just get started. And when I say get started, I don't mean jumping with both feet, because that's what I do, so you're going to learn from my mistakes. I want you to pencil out, again, we talked about your definition of success and what your goals are. What area are you interested in? Are you interested in real estate? Are you interested in stocks, or just a way to more effectively manage your money? And that's what we're going to cover next video, your money and your life. What's the really, really kick in the pants way, simple way to manage your money, and you'll go, oh, V8 moment. But anyway, we'll talk about that on the next video. But when I talk about the art of the start, so there's so many tools, so much information out there, and again, that's one reason I've put together these videos, is just to kind of help you make sense of all that information. What do you do with all that? What do you do first? First is to decide what's important to you. So if you haven't done your bio, if you haven't created your definition of success, that's really the first step that you're going to need to do, because you have to have your roadmap, or otherwise you're just out there going in 10 different directions, and that's difficult to grow wealth that way. So you need some focus and some discipline, of course, but I don't want you to get bogged down in the process. So one of the things that I'm encouraging you to do is take care of those 2 key factors, but I want you to pick a number after you have those 2 key factors and decide, how much do you need? And I say, how much do you need? I'm talking about to have the lifestyle that you want. When I talk about success, when I think about what's important to me, I've decided that I need to have my groceries delivered, because if I go to the store, that means I'm probably coming home with some cheeses or some cookies. Neither one of those are really going to help me. So if I'm going to have my groceries delivered, I'm going to save some money. I'm not spending that extra money on stuff I don't need, and I'm going to be healthier for it. So that's something that's on my success list, is not going to the grocery store. And at the same time, whether that means I'm going to the hairdresser, this, that, and the other, or like I said, taking those spa trips. I'm all about the spa. Someone take care of me. So these are dollars that I know that I need in my pot and in my future. So that's why part of my plan is, that's one of the reasons for diversifying my income, is setting up money so that I can pay for those things that I want, and guilt-free, because I don't want to, we have a life, or if you grew up robbing Peter to pay Paul, then there's guilt involved, right? I want you to have the good life without the guilt. How about that? So think about what success looks like for you, and I'm saying that as a successful person. What is a successful, what are the attributes? What are the things that you have, accoutrements and attributes? What does that look like? What do you have in your life that makes you whole, that makes you feel good, guilt-free, right? So, but then of course you're also going to look at what you need to support that lifestyle. And so, do you have a job now? Are you looking for a job? Or are you bored with your job? Do you need to move up in your career? Or are you interested in business? Have you looked at some businesses you can start? Are you having a business? Do you have a business that has stalled out and you need to make some adjustments? So let me know where you are, career and or business, and then where you are on that timeline, and then we'll consider some adjustments that you can make to get you to the end goal of that grand lifestyle. Living like the queen you were meant to be, right? So just have that list, create your timeline, and then once you have that, then we can design a plan for what creates the lifestyle that you want, and what's it going to take to get you there. So, and then like I said, we'll talk about some passive income or some other ways to maybe, get joint ventures or strategic partners or something like that that helps you get those multiple streams of income. But the important thing is that you just start. And so one of the things I like to call the art of the start is, take it 5 minutes at a time. 5 minutes has got me a long way these last few weeks, and actually a lot of times, but really, I'm really drilling down and focusing right now, so I'm really noticing how that has helped me, is just telling myself, okay, I just have to do this little bit. If I just do this little bit, then I've done good, but usually that little bit, once I've started, I keep going, and so I call it the art of the start. So say that you're only going to do it for 5 minutes, or you're just going to dream for 5 minutes, or just write down your goals for 5 minutes, or write down your plan, work on your plan. And then, like I said, by the time you look up, it's probably a half hour or an hour, 2 hours later, and you have made some progress because you've taken the time to create your future. So just get started. So that's my new thing right now, is just telling everybody about the 5-minute increments to your brighter future. So why not take a chance? And then the last thing that I want to share with you is I'm pretty excited that my book is coming out soon, so I wanted to make sure that I let you know about that. You can pre-order your book. It's called I Don't Do Mondays, and it's your definitive guide to passport living. And that's living the life that you've designed on your terms and creating wealth and prosperity for your present and for future generations. And so I'm just encouraging you to take some time for yourself and to create that brighter future and make it better for those around you, those you come in contact with. So it's living consciously, living on purpose, and then how that can just all come together into the bigger, brighter picture. And that, my pretties, is today's episode of Your Money and Your Life. I, again, encourage you to join the conversation. I typically do a Jeep shot, quick 3-minute video several times during the week on my fan book page, which is on Facebook, Pink Passport Society. So just go to Facebook and put in Pink Passport Society, visit my fan page, and go ahead and please do click like. Of course, that's very neighborly of you. And just check in and join the conversation. You can always leave your comments, and I do check my page and I will answer you. And I look forward to talking with you. And of course, I just want to remind you that we look forward to your emails. So, guided journey at pinkpassport.org. Happy to answer your questions. I will answer them in the video so that it will benefit the audience at large. Unless, of course, if you tell me it's a private question, then of course I'll just contact you directly. But I'm really, really excited to be able to offer you some insights into growing and managing your money and diversifying your income, and helping you find ways to, diversify and strategize, possibly with, like I said, joint venture partners, and just grow your income widen your network, and just become part of the community. So it's been my pleasure, and I look forward to talking with you again next week. And that, Mary, is today's episode of Your Money and Your Life. Thanks for joining us.